Chapter 32 to 33, Grand Line. The distance between Pride's boat and the three became with each passing second increasingly farther apart. Eventually they couldn't see Pride's boat any longer. They too vanished back into the depths of the forest. The weather on the seas was quite lovely. Gazing up, one could spot the blazing sun pouring down with all his vigor. All kinds of birds and animals, capable of flying, roamed through the skies. This was particularly evident from their squawking. The sea was calm, too calm in fact. No wind swept across the sea, leaving it little room for any motions. Almost every other ship would be moving very slowly in such conditions, as there was practically no breeze to support the ship's mast. Pride, however, had no such trouble. He moved with immense speed towards the reverse mountain, with a purplish membrane encasing him along his boat. He floated slightly above the surface and soared off. Sigh. It must be a real pain in the ass to only move at a snail's pace when the seas don't allow it. But thank God I have the Zushi no Mi. It really eases a lot of things. In the meantime, several more hours passed by and Pride was nearing the reverse mountain. He once again caught sight of the gigantic mountain. It was beautiful, though the clouds obscured the view of the upper section. Nonetheless, he moved closer and closer to the entrance of the current. Usually, pirates with more durable ships can ascend the currents with fewer difficulties. Though they still are exposed to risks and hardships, the ship could inexplicably lose control and collide sideways with a mountain. If that happens, their fate is more likely to be sealed. Needless to say, other pathways do exist to enter or leave the Grand Line. However, that is more likely a path no pirate would willingly take. Pride had no issues in ascending the stream. To be on the safe side, his boat even floated at a higher altitude than usual. As he continued to rise, the sea seemed farther beneath him. He was delighted by the roaring and crashing of the water. After maintaining his composure and waiting patiently, he soon reached the summit and landed on a lake-like expanse. That is the spot, connecting all four blue seas at one point. Sailing from here to a different blue is pretty dangerous or almost impossible for the majority to achieve, because one would have to descend against the force of the current. In the case of the Roger pirates, it wasn't a huge challenge, considering that the entire ship was coated in armament hockey upon his landing. Grand Line, I'm coming, thought Pride, grinning as he stood in front of the path and started to descend it. Till now, I've only seen the miracles and the Grand Line through the anime. Now it's time to experience it for myself. As far as I know, the seas in Paradise are disastrous compared to the blues. Sigh. And then one hears that Paradise is a mere stroll in comparison to the New World. As Pride was busy thinking, the view in front of him dragged him out of his thoughts. The sea on the other side was already in sight. It's about time I finally meet Crocus and Laboon. If my calculations are accurate, they are already here for a few years. The lighthouse, Twin Capes, would also have to be erected by now. And Pride was right in his assumption. As he got closer he could spot the lighthouse. It's enough if I talk to him a bit and then move on. I do know that in the anime one had to wait for a day until the log pose was charged for choosing one of the 7 possible Grand Line routes. But I can still clearly remember the route Luffy's crew took. After all, my destination is there as well, hee hee. Some time later, Pride with his boat reached the entrance of the Grand Line. He floated along his boat and landed in front of the lighthouse. Hello, is anyone there? As a matter of courtesy, Pride asked. He obviously sensed that a person was inside. The door opened. In front of Pride stood Crocus. The sole difference from the anime was that he appeared to be much younger, though his dressing style hasn't really changed. If Pride isn't wrong, Crocus should be in his mid to late 20s. He sported black hair, brown eyes, and a goatee that went in 2 different directions. His hair was fairly long and reached his shoulders. The most noticeable feature on him was the petals on the back of his head. In addition, he still wore a pink t-shirt with green fringes and a yellow stripe with green rings. To match the t-shirt, he was wearing light gray pants with fringes at the bottom and large sandals. In the anime he wore identical stuff. Doesn't he have different clothes? Sigh. Contemplated Pride after inspecting Crocus in more detail. Hello, it seems like you're someone new. Your first time in the Grand Line, I suppose. My name is Crocus, I'm the lighthouse keeper, my zodiac sign is Gemini, and my blood type is A. Nice to make your acquaintance. I'm Pride. Holy shit, I thought his personality in the anime was just so weird since he was already an old man. But for him to have the same attitude even when he's still young, really a strange guy. Was he like that when he was a member of the Roger Pirates as well? Both chatted for a while. Crocus was a pretty curious person, as Pride could tell. I mean, did he also ask everyone else that came here which islands they had already been to, and other stuff? Or maybe it's because he hasn't been here all that long, and he's just that eager for knowledge. After all, he didn't ask the Straw Hat Pirates in the anime. However, the conversation was interrupted by someone else. Ooh, a whale popped up from the water in front of them. It looked adorable, considering the relatively small size it possessed. Laboon. He's really young now. In comparison to his anime counterpart, he is physically very short. His expression, he looks joyful. The Rumbar Pirates. He has only been separated from them for a few years. He's still waiting with hope for their return. And since it's only been a couple of years and not 50, he's still in an excellent mood. Ho ho, his name is Laboon, he smiled. I can't play with you right now. Look, we have a guest at the moment. Crocus added as he pointed his finger at me. Coo. Ah. It was nice meeting you, Crocus. I'll be on my way then. That'll give you plenty of time to play with Laboon. Laughed Pride as he moved towards his boat. Hey, up. If you sail off now, you'll be traveling planlessly. I know the way I have to take, but thank you. Smiling, Pride responded. Pride, already seated in his boat, floated down. Crocus' voice was heard in the background. Here, take this. You'll be needing it. Whoosh. An object flew toward Pride. After catching it, he saw that it was a log pose. Smiling, he looked at Crocus. Thanks, that's all I was missing. Crocus sighed. I suppose I don't have to explain how it works, do I? Pride nodded his head. I know it. See you next time, Crocus. Waving, he descended until Crocus was unable to see him anymore. After Pride touched down on the sea surface, a lovely presence greeted him. Laboom, performing acrobatic movements, hoped that Pride might play with him. Ah! Come here, you cute thing. Laughingly, he stroked Laboon. Who? After bidding farewell to the whale, Pride sailed off in one particular direction. This has to be the path the Straw Hat Pirates will take. Cactus Island, here I come. Cactus Island is an island in paradise. On it, there are several rocky mountains with several graves on the top. The shape of the mountains and the graves give the hills the appearance of giant cactuses. The island is furthermore intersected by a river where ships can dock inside. It was also the first island of the Grand Line visited by the Straw Hat Pirates and the setting for the Whiskey Peak arc. That's where they first encountered the secret organization Baroque Works. Of course, this is not yet established in the present time. Most of the members are not even born yet. As in the anime, the island was not very inhabited. Objectively, it even looks quite desolate. Since people lived relatively scattered, not many people were in one place. This made the island even more gloomy. Pride's boat crossed the river. He could glimpse the island from both sides. However, he didn't intend to stay longer than a day. For him, the island was just a stopover. It was neither exciting nor relevant at the moment, but he was someone who wanted to explore each island anyway. He had done that in the past too, when he looked for traces of Redfield on every island. But after making contact with the soil, Pride hid his boat behind a small bush. The boat is still visible, but I don't think it will be stolen in one day. Hopefully. Until his arrival, Pride hardly encountered a ship. It was as if the island was practically deserted, although it was midday by then. Sigh. The island has a really eerie atmosphere. Pride did not hesitate for long and was searching for the town. Since he scarcely met any people, he simply focused his observation hockey as far as possible to find out where most of the people were gathered. After all, the town should be the most crowded place. After he was able to locate the source with most of the people, he proceeded there. A few minutes passed and he reached the town. He occasionally met a few people on the way, but nothing more. Pub of Dreams, he whispered softly as he stood in front of a pub that bore those initials as a sign. But Pride entered the bar and went forward to the place in front of the innkeeper. Twice of your strongest liquor, and something to eat. You can surprise me with the food. Right away, please be patient for a moment. As Pride looked around, he noticed that the mood was generally not that good. The few people present seemed rather depressed or in a bad temper. With his observation hockey, he overheard some of their conversations too. This is our strongest booze. The meal will take a while, said the innkeeper without looking at Pride. Thank you. Can I ask you something? Sigh. Go ahead. The bad mood of the host was also apparent. What's going on here on this island? For such a large island, there are rather few people out or on view here. Besides, everyone I've met isn't very talkative. The host reacted to this somewhat sorrowfully and angrily. This was evident from his facial expression. Beasts. Really beasts. Sigh. The island only appears so deserted to you because scum keeps visiting. Pirates. He clenched his fist until the blood just gushed out. Recently, some unknown pirates have been showing up. They've already come twice and kidnapped all the women and children they saw, most likely to satisfy their lusts or to sell them as slaves. Asterisk boom asterisk. With a bleeding fist, he struck the counter. We even tried to involve the Marines. But since we're not part of the world government, they simply said no, indifferently so. Their justification was that it happens on daily occasions, and that there is no way to prevent all of them. Light tears were visible in his eyes. As a result, we took the liberation of the abductees into our own hands. Unfortunately, more of our people died. Fathers and brothers we couldn't even bury. But what can we do about it? After all, we are only ordinary and weak people. He literally shouted the latter part at the top of his lungs. As a result, the other people present looked in the direction of Pride and the innkeeper. Helplessly and sadly they looked to the floor. Some also clenched their fists. Even though their family members may not have been affected, they are a community and are living in the same place. A pain that one can completely sympathize with. Some were tormented thinking, what if our family members are the next ones? Sigh, understand, old man. How long has it been? Both of his eyes were crimson and tear-soaked as he stared at Pride. The last time they were here was 3 days ago. Afterward, he went back to work as usual. Perhaps one of his relatives has also been involved, and he is working to somehow forget the pain because life goes on. After all, there is no point in attempting to liberate only to lose more lives. Pride, sipping from his liquor, glanced sideways with a melancholic gaze. This brought back old, painful memories that he had also experienced. Years before, children and young women had also been kidnapped there. At that time, he had been too weak or had not the means to help his people. Now he had them. Even though it was too late for the people of Centauria, Pride was sure it wasn't Draco this time, as he should already be in the new world. After finishing off all of his food and liquor, he rose to his feet. How much is it? 2000 belli. Here you go. And one more thing, where exactly are the pirates? I assume there are a few more children and women around here that they don't want to miss. Sigh, that's where you're wrong. They think it was all of them. That's why the women and children are hiding in their houses. And they have been seen a little way off to the right, down the mountains a few miles away. I assume that's their current shelter. With raised eyebrows, he looked at him intently. Why do you ask that? Just asking, Pride answered as he moved toward the entrance.